dignity on. Are we rolling? Say yes.
Yes.
All right. All right. So, finally gonna go through how to figure out what your macros are. So, obviously, macros, I mean, it's not a one size fits all, so you'd kind of have to figure it out as you go, but I'll give you like a starting point. So, let's get to it. All right. So, macros are, protein, carbs, and fats. And how you break that up is, see, this is what happens when you have kids. You have no place to write. Wear condoms, guys. All right, we got a page here. All right, so let's say you are currently eating 2,000 calories, right? But you want to know, you want to break that up into specific macros. So you want a specific amount of protein, a specific amount of carbs and fats to make up those 2,000 calories. So we have 2,000 calories, right? And proteins, for every gram of protein, you get 4 calories. For every gram of carbohydrate, you get the same, 4 calories. And for every gram of fat, it takes up 9 calories. So this is how we're going to break it up. I like to do 40% carbohydrates, protein, I like to do 35% protein and 25% fat. I think that's a good ratio. You get a good amount of carbohydrates, which everybody loves. Your fat stays pretty low, which is good. And your protein is moderate to high. And you can always adjust this as you go, but you have to be consistent. In order for you to make any adjustments to your macros, you actually have to be consistent with them for a good amount of time. I'd say a good 3 to 4 weeks before you start making any changes, just to see how your body reacts. So, if you have, damn it, 1, 2, what? 1, 2, 5,
142500.
142500. All right, so we're gonna calculate this sucker right here. So if you have 2,000 calories and 35% of it is protein, so you go 2,000, right, times 0.35 is equal to 700. And because there are 4 calories per gram, you're going to divide this by 4, which equals 175. So now you know how many grams of protein you have for the day, 175 grams. Okay, so now let's go back. You have 40% of your 2,000 calorie diet is going to be carbohydrates. So you take 2,000, right? You multiply that by 0.4, which is 40%. It's going to give you 800. And then you divide this by 4 because each gram of carbohydrates gives you 4 calories. I know it seems a bit complicated. Just stay with me. So we're going to divide this by 4, and that's going to give us 200 grams of carbohydrates for the day. All right, so now we have fat left. So 25% of our 2,000 calorie diet is going to be fat. So let's go 2,000 times 0.25 is 500. So 1 gram of fat is equal to 9 calories. So we're going to divide 500 by 9. And we get 55. All right. So what this means is a person who's eating 2,000 calories a day, and their diet is broken up, 35% is protein, 40% carbohydrates, 25% is fat, means that 175 grams is protein, 200 grams is carbs, and 55 grams is fat. And if we wanted to break this up into 4 meals, then you just divide each one of these numbers by 4. So you get 175 divided by 4 is, we're going to say 44 grams. 200 divided by 4 is 50. And 55 divided by 4 is equal to, we're going to say 14. Okay, so this is now per meal. So per meal, you're going to get 44 grams of protein, 50 grams of carbohydrates, and 14 grams of fat. And I really like these numbers because it's sustainable. And like I said, you have to be consistent. For a newbie who's never used macros or measured their food or portion control, I would take the first 2 weeks and input your food into a calculator, a food calculator. So I use my FitnessPal, which works the best. You can do macros, calories, all of that good stuff, and it's super easy to use. So just track your food for 1 or 2 weeks and see how many calories you're eating. And you can also see where those calories come from, how many carbs you're eating, how much protein you're eating, how much fat you're eating. Don't make any changes to your diet just yet. And then after 2 weeks, take your average caloric intake, right? So you're going to add that up, divide it, and use that number to as your base number. So as this person, for their 2,000 calories, you're going to use that number of calories, and you're going to use this ratio, the 35, 40, and 25, and see what numbers it gives you. Then you are going to follow that for 3 to 4 weeks and see what changes your body makes. For like weight loss or fat loss, I like to adjust the carbs and the fats. So you would lower those, depending on what your goal is. I would prefer doing, let's say, subtracting about 100 calories every 10 to 14 days. So your body can adjust and actually lose weight slowly. You don't want to lose weight too fast. I don't think that's sustainable. And also, when people do that, they end up kind of just like binging or, gaining the weight right away. So if you want like a healthy, sustainable lifestyle, and if you want to complicate your life with macros, because it's a pain in the ass, but it actually works, then I would do it that way. So again, if you're a beginner, you've never tracked macros, track your food intake for 2 weeks. Take the average amount of calories that you eat. Then you're going to use these numbers. 35% of it protein, 40% carbohydrates, 25% fats. And if you want to know how to go about measuring your macros, then you can click on the link and it will take you to my previous video on how to measure your food for macros. And that's it. And for adjusting your macros, just every 10 to 14 days, subtract about 100 calories, and go from there. And I hope that was kind of clear. If you have any questions, just leave them below. Follow me on Instagram at Fitgurlmel, girl with a U. I'm gonna find that girl with the I. And yeah, check out my other videos on YouTube. And that's it. Thanks.